Dear students, with reference to the fundamental rights, I have released one video. In that video, I have taught you about importance of fundamental rights, and I have also taught that fundamental rights are very essential for each and every citizen of India for all round development. Means fundamental rights ensures human development and progress, and each and every citizen of India will have fundamental rights, and each and every citizen of India can improve his or her special quality, and it will be very good for the development of the nation. So today I am going to teach you reasons for exclusion in part 3rd of the constitution. I have taught you that fundamental rights has been mentioned in part 3rd of the constitution. This is very important point you should remember. The fundamental rights are incorporated in the Indian constitution part 3rd, article 12 to article 35. There are specific reason for this. Going to teach you each and every important reasons. Please pay attention. They are in the nature of civil and political rights. What do you mean by civil rights and what do you mean by political rights? Civil rights means each and every human being will have some essential rights, and all essential rights will be will be provided by government. And second, political rights means in any political affairs people can participate, and without this right it was not possible, because when monarchy system was there, so political rights only given to a limited people, means belongs to royal family or some specific groups had this one. But now in democratic system, each and every person having opportunity that he can be prime minister, he can be chief minister, and he or she can be any he or she can be get any office in our country. So first point clear. They correspondent to the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights 1996. They have been made integral part of the constitution. Indians had remained under the oppressions and foreign rule for a long time. These rights provided certain safeguards and can't be changed by ordinary legislation. Their inclusion in part 3rd ensured that any changes in these rights should only be brought through an amendment to the constitution. The constitution amendment can be carried out by the majority of the total member of the both house of the parliament, as well as 2/3 majority of those present and voting. This act as a shield against arbitrarily exercise of power by any despotic rule or legislation. What do you mean by this? Dear students, fundamental rights granted to each and every person, and in normal circumstances amendment can't be possible with reference to the fundamental rights. And fundamental rights, if in encroachment or violation of the fundamental rights will be there, people can approach to High Court or Supreme Court, and High Court and Supreme Court will protect the fundamental rights. So these important points. And third point, going to teach you universal in nature. That is very important point regarding our fundamental rights. First point I have taught you that they are the nature of the civil and political rights, means civil rights ensured by fundamental rights, political rights ensured by fundamental rights, And also I have taught you, if any encroachment will be there, any violation will be there, then people can approach to High Court and Supreme Court, and High Court and Supreme Court will protect the fundamental rights by issuing the writs. I think you know. Next point is there, universal in nature. What do you mean by this? They are bestowed on every citizen of India without consideration of caste, color, creed, and gender. Means fundamental rights granted to each and every citizen of India, irrespective caste, color, creed. Means if any person having different religion, no issue, and different ethnic groups, no issue. Each and every person will be given fundamental rights, and there is no any discrimination. And now justiciable, just I have taught you, again going to teach you, fundamental rights are justiciable. A suit can be filed in the High Court and Supreme Court. If they are violated, the court then takes step through various writs to determine the legality of the such an action by the legislature or any concerned government officer. The court can strike down the law passed by the legislature against the fundamental rights. One more point is there, and when I'll teach you judiciary, so I'll explain nicely this one. What do you mean by judicial review? If judicial review means if any law has been made by central government or state government that altered the spirit of the constitution, that will be declared null and void by Supreme Court and High Court. What do you mean by this? Null and void means meaningless, and means Parliament having power to make the law. It is very clear. But Parliament not having power to violate the spirit of the Constitution. What do you mean by spirit of the Constitution? Means, if we see the preamble, so in preamble, it has been mentioned that which type of India will be there. Means equality will be there, liberty will be there, fraternity will be there, and political rights, social rights, and economic rights has been granted to all citizens of India. If any disturbance will be there regarding these things, then Supreme Court will interfere. So that's why it is mentioned that fundamental rights are justiciable. Means if your fundamental rights will be violated, you can approach to Supreme Court for remedy, constitutional remedy, and Supreme Court and High Court will interfere. Not, next point, not absolute. In a society, man's right can't be without restrictions or not absolute rights. A balance has to be maintained between the individual liberty and social security. Individual liberty means, dear students, you should understand, you are having liberty, but you are not having right to disturb the other liberty. So balance required. Clear? So sometimes restriction will be imposed. Okay, for smooth functioning. You should not take it negative that violation of fundamental rights is going on. Means some rules and regulations are there. Like suppose one example I would like to mention, then you'll understand. I think you know rules of the road. Suppose your minds are driving car, and like this one driving. And if anybody will tell me why you are driving like this, I can tell I have fundamental rights and individual liberty I have. So dear students, definitely I have individual liberty, but I am not having any right to disturb others one. Means you have to follow all rules and regulation if you are living in the society. And Parliament is there, Parliament has made the law, and many rules and regulations are there in the society for smooth functioning of the society. Each and every civilized citizen must have to follow. So that's why sometimes restrictions taken place. Therefore, fundamental rights can be enjoyed provided they do not go against the right of others. Therefore, the Parliament can impose certain limitation on such rights to be safeguard larger social interest. Now, suspendable. Fundamental rights also can be suspended, and in not in normal circumstances, but one circumstance is there I would like to mention. Suppose emergency is there. In that emergency, except Article 20 and 21, all fundamental rights can be suspended. So going to teach you detail. Inclusion of these rights in part 3rd makes them subject to suspension in events of the national emergency to safeguard the interest and integrity of the country. Such restrictions may be placed under the following condition: war or external aggression, or even internal disturbance threatening the unity and integrity of the nation. In that condition, fundamental rights can be suspended. And second of given, conflicting in interest of the individual and the community. If at any time it is found that individual liberty is in conflict with that of the public welfare, the state may impose restrictions to reconcile the conflicting interest. The curtailment of the any rights can be done only by the parliament. Such a curtailment is also subject to the judicial review by High Court or Supreme Court. Suppose for the welfare of the society, sometimes individual liberty or fundamental rights can be curtailed. Okay, so that person having right to approach to High Court and Supreme Court. Okay, so that is important point. And next day I'll teach you characteristic features of the fundamental rights. Thank you.